Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I'm Christy and let's talk about my return drive from Florida. So the last video you saw, here comes Chloe, who needs a haircut. Okay, this is why my cushions look the way they do. Okay, so the last video you saw me in was at Hollywood Studios. We were just finishing up with Galaxy's Edge. It was a very short video. I had a few of my family members tell me, like, why was it so short? Well, let me tell you, we were exhausted. It had already been a very long trip. There really wasn't any time for rest because it was drive, Disney Springs, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood, drive back. It was like that. So there really wasn't a time for, let me relax, let me go chill at the pool. Nah. It was boom, 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 boom. Let's go, and let's go home. So yes, it was a short trip. By the end of it, we were just already exhausted. We did not do any of that Toy Story Land section. No Buzz, no Woody, no Slinky Dog roller coaster, none of that. I was done. I was exhausted. I had fulfilled my little Princess Leia fantasies of, you know, flying the Millennium Falcon, becoming one of the Rebel Forces. It was a dream beyond comparison. Like, my little Jedi in me was fully satisfied. So yes, I was done and ready to just really have a day of relaxation. But let's backtrack a little bit. For those of you who don't remember, I had a trip planned, or haven't seen any of the videos. I had planned a trip to go to Florida back in 2021 within September. The original plan was, the reason why we went in September was because originally we were going to attend Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. But that didn't happen. I had a costume already prepared for the event. However, it was going to be just myself and not Albert on that day. And at the end of it, I could not justify paying an extra $150 just to attend that event. And then, as it was, I was already carrying a lot of things with me that I didn't want to have to, and additionally, carry my costume with me and then change there at the park and then exit the park to get my wristband and then come back into the park and then walk the whole park again just to, you know, do the trick-or-treating and grab the candies and refreshments or whatever it was that they were going to hand out. And so at the end of it, I decided not to do it. So that's why we originally went in September, because September is usually the cheapest ticket prices to attend Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. But then at the end, like I said, we decided not to do it, and it was just easier to keep all our reservations for September than to change them out for, like, let's say November or December. So that's why we decided to go in September. So like I said, we went in September, and for those of you who don't know, September around the golf course, why is speaking so hard? In September, the Gulf Coast area is usually hurricane season, give or take. I mean, you can't tell what it is, how things are going in the Gulf. It's hot, it's cold. it's hot, it's cold, it's hot, it's cold, and then that's why we have these storms brewing. So a week before our trip, Tropical Storm Ida hit the Gulf area and pretty much flooded New Orleans. So the plan was drive from San Antonio, Texas to New Orleans, stop at New Orleans for the night, refresh, recharge, then drive from New Orleans to Florida to Lake Buena Vista, and you know, we would have that time in New Orleans to just rest and recharge. But that didn't happen. So a week out, Ida flooded New Orleans. Albert had been calling me, is the trip still on? I was like, yeah, it's just New Orleans, Florida, fine, Disney, fine. Let's not panic. Everything will be okay. Just because New Orleans was flooded, Disney would be fine. Okay, so I was like, besides, I told him, besides, I hadn't received any calls yet from our reservations, because I made 2 different reservations, one for the drive over and then one for the drive coming back. So I had made 2 different reservations for 2 different days at New Orleans. So I want to say about 4 days out before our trip, I get a call from one of the hotels, and sure enough, it was to cancel my reservation because, again, New Orleans got flooded. I was thinking, hey, you know, I don't want to be sound sensitive or anything, but they kind of are used to situations like this, so I figured that they would have, you know, plans in place to deal with situations like this. So I'm in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, hey, they'll be able to recuperate and move things along to, you know, so that the city doesn't stand still, and, you know, the residents there can get things done and bring economy back into their city, right? No. So first call, hotel was canceled, reservation was canceled, and I was like, okay, that's fine. I was like, at least I still have the other one for the way back. I really like New Orleans. Anyways, so then I want to say by the second day before our trip, I get the other call from the other hotel canceling my other reservation. So yeah, that happened. So then I went ahead and called Albert, and I said, hey, reservations are canceled for the way back. He's like, okay, that's fine. And I asked, you know, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Are you still willing to go with me? If not, that's fine. I was willing to go on this trip on my own. I was willing to go on my own, do a solo trip to Florida. He's like, nah, I'll go with you. He's like, I haven't been to Florida in a while, so I think the last time he was at Florida was when we went together the last time also. Anyways, so he's like, yeah, let's just, I can't remember who had the idea of just driving all the way through. I can't remember who it was, but after talking for a while, we decided to just drive straight to Pensacola. Pensacola, from Texas to Pensacola, Florida. That's crossing several state lines in one day. It was a very long day. If you haven't seen that video, I'm gonna go ahead and link that video down below so you can see our first day of travel. You can't really see it in the video, but it was a very long day. We started kind of late because someone woke up late, so we missed our first hour of kind of smooth drive because we wanted to beat the morning traffic. We did leave on a Wednesday morning, so we wanted to leave before all the morning traffic, but that didn't happen. we were caught in the morning traffic here in San Antonio. And then along the way to Houston, we got morning traffic in Houston. We got traffic in Louisiana. I mean, we got traffic everywhere. I was thinking, hey, it's Wednesday, middle of the week. There shouldn't be that much traffic. No, I was wrong. I guess that's just in the summer, but whatever. So, yeah, when we finally arrived to Florida, if you saw my video of Epcot, it did start raining. If you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and link it down below. It did start raining because there was a storm brewing in the Gulf, as it does in the Gulf. So Albert was kind of like, I forgot to mention, however, that we had no reservations of any kind for the hotel in Pensacola. What happened was, within our drive, before it was 5 o'clock, I think it was around 3, Albert decided to get on his phone. Man, I swear, Albert is like God sent. He is an awesome co-pilot and an awesome navigator. If it wasn't for him, anyways, so he got on his phone. He went on, I think it was hotels.com, and he found us the Hotel Pensacola for the night. So it wasn't something that we had planned. It was like, hey, let's just get on the road and see where the road takes us. And if we find a hotel, we find a hotel. If not, we were kind of pretty much planning on just sleeping in Brad for the night at some like rest stop, and then take it all the way through to Lake Buena Vista. But well, you saw what happened. We ended up at Hotel Pensacola. So yeah, back to what I was saying earlier. It started raining. There was a storm brewing, and Albert was keeping an eye on the weather because, again, like I mentioned, hurricane season in the Gulf around September. So things were going fine. It hadn't reached landfall. It wasn't anywhere near land. It was still out into the Gulf. And then as we were driving back, I don't have video of the drive back. I have no B-roll whatsoever because I was already exhausted by this time. The last thing I wanted to worry about was recording. I wasn't gonna put that job onto Albert when it's not even his channel. So I was like, I'm not even gonna bother with it. So I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I was pretty exhausted by that time. And then we were coming up towards Georgia. And coming right before we got to Louisiana, it started to rain. And it wasn't that bad of a rain. It was just, a steady stream of rain. It still very visible. However, it started getting dark. And once it got dark, once the sun had set, the rain got worse. And the wind got worse. It was getting so bad, I couldn't see where I was going. My wipers were just like going crazy. The wind was blowing, and I was telling Albert, I was like, okay, this is it. We were gonna take 10. Again, we decided to do a beeline straight to Texas, from Florida to Texas, back to San Antonio. Again, no reservations were made for a return drive. So it was going to be a longer drive from Lake Buena Vista to San Antonio. We said, and just drive straight through. I was like, I'll get Red Bull. If anything, we'll switch drivers. I was going to let Albert drive Brad if I needed to. So as we were gonna skip Louisiana, we were gonna skip 10 going down into Louisiana. We were gonna go further up. I think it was through 12. Because we were having a bit of a difficult time finding gas within Louisiana, because we decided on the way to Florida to drive through drive through New Orleans, and it didn't dawn on me that I was gonna have a difficult time finding gas. So I said, you know what, on the way back, let's avoid going down 10 through 10 to Louisiana, just go further up and go around it. That way it won't be such a difficult time. So then what happened was Hurricane Nicholas was coming through, making landfall. He was coming through. The storm was pretty heavy. And I said, Albert, I can't see anymore. Can you find something while I drive? Sure enough, he found us a hotel in Lake Charles. So he puts on, he sends me the directions to the hotel. Unfortunately, he gave me the wrong directions to the wrong hotel. So we ended up at a different hotel than where we had made our reservations. So we were trying to find out, because they had already charged my card. I told the hotel, I was like, hey, look, by chance, do you have any rooms available here? And the lady at the desk, so helpful. I mean, she was just like, hey, come in, get out of the rain, rest here for a while, get situated, figure out what you needed to do. And she's like, don't worry about it. I was like, thank God for that, right? And I was like, hey, by chance, do you have any rooms available here? So she did her little magic on the computer and she did find us a room. I was like, okay. But it was going to be like $300 for that night. And I was just like, we're here. We're here. So I told Albert to cancel the other one, because I don't want to have two charges. I said, let me cancel the other one and we'll just stay here for the night, and that's it, right? Again, I drive, I take my own foods, so I wasn't worried about the food situation, although Albert was kind of hungry. So I was like, here, let me make you a sandwich, whatever. He was up just watching the weather, and I was like, what happens, happens. Like, if God's will, right? If God would decide what to do here, I let Jesus take the wheel here. And I did watch, keep an eye on the Weather Channel here and there, looking at the radar. But it just got to the point where it's either I fall asleep or I stay up all night just looking at the radar to see which direction this hurricane was going. So I fell asleep, turned off my computer, fell asleep. If anything, before that, we decided that if it was going to continue raining, because the storm was still brewing and still happening, we decided, mind you, we stopped at Lake Charles. If I hadn't mentioned that, we stopped at Lake Charles. If anything, I told Albert, look, let's just drive north towards Shreveport. And then at Shreveport, we can go west towards Dallas. We'll take that route. That way we can drive over the storm instead of driving through the storm on 10. So that was the plan. So I was like, okay, now that we have that plan established, I'm going to bed. So we wake up and we hear on the news that Hurricane Nicholas hit Lake Charles, like made landfall at Lake Charles, and we're like, dang. You could see trees falling over. There was a lot of leaves and shrubbery on the floor, on the ground. You could see the devastation that it made. Thank God, the area that we were in was not as affected as other areas. I think we were a little bit on the northern side of Lake Charles. So we were relatively okay. There was no damage to Brad. A tree had fallen within the vicinity of Brad, but he was between two other vehicles, and those other vehicles got the damage opposed to Brad. Right? Like, God, thank you, Jesus. And the morning was just absolutely beautiful. There was blue skies. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So we packed up, we got in Brad, we started driving north towards Shreveport, and then if I remember correctly, we did not drive all the way to Shreveport. Again, Albert, my navigator, God sent. He's like, hey, further up, we can take this route and it'll be faster, so we don't have to go all the way to Shreveport. We can cut in between. So that's what we did. Between Lake Charles and Shreveport, we went west, and we went through a pretty nice section of Texas that I hadn't seen before. I hadn't traveled through before, so it was really nice seeing that whole area. But yeah, we drove over Houston. We didn't go all the way to Dallas, and then we got up to, I think it was what's the town before Austin, coming in on the east side? I can't even remember, but yeah, we got up to close to Austin, or maybe it was Austin that we went through, and then we took 35 down to San Antonio. So yeah, I wasn't planning on recording that day. I was exhausted. It was just so much happening. Hurricane Nicholas, Tropical Storm Ida. There was a lot happening. I don't think I would have been able to deal with the whole situation. Honestly, had Albert not been with me, I think I would have driven all the way through just to like try to outrun the storm, right? If it wasn't for Albert, then I don't know. I would have driven straight through the hurricane and see where I ended up. Really, yeah. Because that's how usually my mind is. Whenever it's raining here, it's like, I'm not going to stop and pull over just to let the rain pass. It's like, I'm going to keep driving. So, yeah, that happened. But thank God, nothing truly happened to us from the storm. Thank God that we were able to find a hotel in Lake Charles. Thank God that the hotel that we were staying in wasn't affected by the hurricane. Thank God that, Albert was with me. And I've learned so many lessons from that trip. It's like, okay, don't take things for granted, right? Check the weather. Have a plan B. Carry extra food with you. And budget your money wisely, because thank God I still had plenty of money to have that, pay for that room, because Albert was on a very tight budget, and I didn't want him to go over on his tight budget. But thank God, like, Albert, godsend, best friend in the whole wide world, best co-pilot, navigator, like, ever. So yeah. Will I do it again? Hells yeah, I would do it again. Would I do it alone? Hells yeah, I'll do it alone. Would I do it again with Albert? Most definitely do it again with Albert, because again, best co-pilot, best navigator ever. So yeah, that's why there's no footage of the trip back, but I wanted to share that with you guys because it was something that happened to us. I had never experienced anything like that before in all my travels. It's usually like a sunny day when I do my traveling, so I've never experienced traveling in that kind of condition before. So it was a first for me, and it is something that I will never forget. So if a situation like that arises next time in my travels, I'm gonna do my best to actually record it and document it, because yeah, it is just talking about it is not the same as actually seeing it, right? And then advances with technology and being able to record on our phones now, it's like, why not have documentation of a situation like that? So yeah, it was fun, exciting, and I thank God every day for that experience. It was something else. So yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening to my travel on the way back from Florida. We are planning again to go to Florida, but this time we're looking at going at Universal Studios for not this year, which is 2023, but we're looking at 2024, and then I have big plans for 2025. So if you want to see those trips in the coming years, I suggest you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, get notified, and I will see you in the next one. And the next one's coming up. I have a whole bunch of videos from Northwest Vista, and then what university I will be moving to. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.